ready or not, here I come now. Let's play hide and seek. Prepare to be caught. Here I come now. Let's play hide and seek. Riding on the playground, no one dares to make a sound. Round and round and round and round, no one wants to be first found.
Word in the PCA that would lead to something as noticeable like a tomahawk.
Oh, I see. So you're saying
Or
from a blade classification? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Or something equivalent to even a sword.
Okay, you guys. Hey, what they're talking about here is when the guy pulls up at 5:05, I think somewhere around there, to pick that guy up that's been standing out there, who, by the way, I think was actually dropped. Well, there's two different things. If you're listening to the other side, if you're listening to 1330, you're going to hear him walk by, but you cannot see him. I've tried so many times to see where that walk is coming from, and I cannot find it. In that, whether it's difference mode, no matter what video it is, I cannot find it. So maybe somebody else can, but I mean, I've watched that thing a million times, I swear to God. Well, not a million, can't swear to God on that one. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, put it that way. So you can hear him walk by there, but then if you're watching 1320 LLane, this is something I've not seen anybody talk about. And if you get in and if you're watching LLane, I'll do a video on it too. Well, maybe I'll actually put it on this one, but I'm going to explain it right now anyway. So if you're watching in the cul-de-sac, right where all those cars are, off to our right side. So there's a little walkway through there. I did that Blake Avenue video where you can see where you kind of have to jump down, like a cement wall is right there. It looks like it might be maybe 4 feet high, maybe less, a little bit less. In my brain, I can't really think about how high that is when I'm looking at it because everything's so weird with angles over there anyway. So that's really difficult for me. But anyway, so I had to take one earbud out. I was talking in my head. Ugh, that drives me nuts. Like, oh my God. So if you watch before that car gets there, before you even see the headlights all the way up the road, keep watching, go all the way over, you zoom in, but make sure that you can still see part of where a car would go up the other direction up towards Ridge Road, Walenta area. But keep your eyes peeled. Also, it's tough, man. You got one eye this way and one eye that way. Let me tell you, my eyes were really tired when I got done with this one. And I only did this about maybe 3 or 4 nights ago, but I didn't record it. I just watched it intently. And what's going on there is that there's movement, a lot of movement, and there is a lot of lights. So first you can see there's a car that goes up that way, and then you can see lights through like where that garage would be that's down there where that black truck was parked on the video I did, the Blake Avenue video. And then you can see movement coming up in between those places, up kind of towards like where that guy would be coming out, but not quite as far. And not only that, but you'll notice that there's a light that comes on at that one house. It's that big house. It's got a wraparound porch. That thing is bigger than I thought it was. Because when I went on Blake, I was like, wow, because that whole porch wraps around. And on that wrapped around part, which would be on our left side, that's where the white SUV is parked in that driveway. On the opposite side of that, on the driver's side, around that back side is where that second, I believe it's like maybe a second level, and it wraps around, and there's like maybe it's like a house that was built into apartments or something. I'm not really exactly sure, but I should go do a tour of that actually. No, I might do that. Anyway, so there's a lot of movement right there in that area, a ton of it. So in between those houses, and then on the opposite side of that, to the left of that, is where you can. It looks like somebody's crawling up a tree, and retrieving something, taking something down, putting something up, whatever it would be. But that's, I think, about 4:30 or 5:30 maybe. But anyway, it had to be after that guy was picked up, so it had to be about 5:30 then. So there's all these lights right there, and you can hear things too. So that dude's not standing there alone. There's something's going on all around him. And prior to, during, and after, there's so much going on at that time. It's crazy how much you'll see. But they're very dim, and you have to like really zoom in. Like what I did was I zoomed in on, because your eyes want to dart back and forth, right? You want to see everything as something catches your eye. Try to focus the first time you watch it, zoom in real tight, and look at that little area where those cars are parked, and watch the lights, just movement up on the, like it would be like a, so Saeed's house is, it shows Saeed's house as being that one that is, let me see. If you're looking at it, the cul-de-sac goes around. If you're pulling in, it goes, so you're going to go pull in, then you're going to stay to your right, and then move to around to your left, right? Left, right. Does that make sense? A normal way how you would drive, right? Unless you're in UK or something. And that house to the inner circle, so it's right of the cul-de-sac, which would be kind of like a little bit to the right of us, just slightly, that shows as being where Saeed lived. He doesn't live there anymore. And there's a lot of light going on through there, but it's that garage. Remember when in that Blake Avenue where I said that garage made me feel really weird? Well, I think that might be why. This might have happened in that garage, because I believe a lot of it happened on Taylor Avenue, and I believe a lot of it happened on Blake Avenue, because that's where the party was. See, Matt's place, he is shown as residing in one of those frat houses, and also the house on the hill behind the 1122. So probably more than likely, probably 99.9%, they're going to throw a party in the frat house, which would be on Blake Avenue. Not at their home, because that's not how it works. Just like they don't party on campus. They party, off campus. That's why that's so close to campus, so that they have they're called satellite houses or annex houses, or just a, frat party house, whatever you want to, it's the how was I going to say professional, I don't know what I want to say. You guys know what I mean. The name that they give it, so it makes it sound more better, right? I'm in a weird mood today. It's freaking hot. I'm in the car. I turned the fan off so I could talk, and it wasn't muffled in my voice. And I am sweating like you wouldn't believe. So I'm doing this for you. And you, and you, and you, and you, and you. So that makes me, when people say that it was happened at Sigma Chi across the street, no, it did not. In fact, if you watch closely, you can see movement. If you're at 1320, the camera there, and you're looking out towards Taylor Avenue, straight ahead, you can see a fight up there right in like where's the T of the street, like where Taylor meets Linda Lane. I mean, there's so much movement and so much going on up there. It's just incredible. I mean, you can hear it, you can see it. I mean, but when I say see it, you can see what they've done where they've scrubbed it out, right? It's like all a bunch of, I always refer to it as like you've got a pencil and you're writing a bunch of stuff down and you've screwed it up and you spelled a bunch of things wrong. So you have to erase it. And you have one of those crappy erasers that doesn't really erase it. It just leaves a kind of a gray cloud. Sometimes you can erase it again. It leaves a little lighter of a gray cloud, but it's always this little, just smudge of stuff. Well, that's what it looks like. But underneath that, there's movement, because they put this over top of this surveillance footage so that we can't see what's going on. But we still can see what's going on. The movement, where it's at. And here's another thing. I've been telling people this, and I had some people come up in my feed one time, in my comments, and just tear into me about me saying this about the bugs. And I'm like, dude, whoever was a dude or a dudette, I don't care. I was like thinking, wow, have you ever been outside before? This person has never been outside. Oh my God. Because if you watch the bugs, that's what you watch. Just like when you're hunting, when you're, playing hide and go seek. If you see something run from a bush or a bird fly out, there's something going on over there, right? That's how you know. So watch the bugs in 1320, especially in 1320. You can see them in 1330, but not like you can see them in 1320. You know where there's movement. You know what's going on, when, where, how crazy it is, which is also wild to think that, but you'll see way more bugs. You'll see them flying faster. You'll see them getting the fudge out of Dodge is what you're going to see. And just pay attention to the bugs. People I know, they're orbs. No, they're freaking bugs. They're bugs flying because there's something going on. So they're flying away from it, away from what's happening. And it's very important for you to watch that. That's how I know most of the things where things are coming from, because of the bugs. So whoever said that I was dumb or whatever, get outside more often. Whoever you are, get outside. And don't bring any bug spray. Go to Alaska and don't bring any bug spray. You tell me I don't know about bugs. Anyway, so you'll see all that happening. You'll see the bugs. And not only that, but lights come on that side. And that's where you also hear, after that, the shooting sounds, you'll hear these guys go, no. Like maybe it was an accident. Maybe, I don't know. But these guys felt, you could hear they're like, God, no. What the hell? There was a lot of feeling to it, put it that way. Okay, now we're going to this car, back my squirrel, back to, by the way, Birdie, I love your hive mind finds. That is so good. Love it. Kudos to the person who made the icon or whatever. Very cool. All right. So, car's coming down, right? There's all this other stuff going on over here. While this guy is coming from either Linda Lane or up, or maybe he cruised behind Linda Lane Apartments and came out there on the backside. But there's so many ways to move up through that area, and they know them all, you guys, because they play jokes on each other. They jump out and scare each other. They're not very nice, put it that way. And they play rough, put it that way. They play rough. That's a good way to put it. They roughhouse a lot. And their jokes sometimes aren't very funny. They have kind of a very mean edge to them. So, yeah. So who knows what this could have been. But anyway, so the guy's pulling up. All this other stuff's going on. He opens the car door, and what I think he says is, "This our exit?" And the guy says, "That's it." Like, is this our exit? That's it. That means this is our exit to get out of here, right? Our exit. Like almost like these guys were brought in and not like one of the frat guys, right? So, and this is what I've believed, is that the frats and the sororities, huge thing, something to do with this. Big. I mean, I believe still, Embry's got great stuff, right? And a lot of that stuff, I believe, possibly could have happened. That house, more than likely, maybe was kind of a stash house, like the one that was in Washington. Could have been something like that. And that's why they wanted out of there, because they realized that this is not what we signed up for, right? We don't want this. This is, and we can't get out of it. It says they come in here, they do their thing. You see Emma going through there. Now, I'm kind of starting to think that Emma is actually, like maybe not a double agent, but like an informant of the very special trained kind, because of some things that I've just seen recently, and just looking at, and the things that are being taken down off of my channel. Every Demetrius video has been now taken down, except for one. And they say I can take out whatever music or whatever's in there. I've had it up for over a year, but there's no option for me to take it take it down. So the music off. It doesn't give me that link where you can go to and it says either erase or cut this part of the clip out. It doesn't allow me to do that. It just pops me back to my content on my studio, which is weird. I've never had it do that before. So in order for me to be able to keep that video up, I have to go in, screen record that video again, or I've never downloaded it like that. I don't know how that works, but I mean, I can look into that. Maybe it's less time to do that. But then go in and then take that chunk out. It's not a very big one, it's a very small. But it's like they went in there to find something they could do to get that video down. They want Demetrius off of all this stuff. Now, that's interesting because I went and looked on different people's channels to see if their Demetrius stuff was coming down, and it wasn't. I looked at several different channels, and mine is the one that's coming down. So I don't know what I've got in mine that nobody else has. One thing I do know that I have in mind that nobody else has is the still. It was a video, but I took still shots of it because I figured you couldn't really play the whole video because it was getting a little racy. But I believe it's the apartment that Kopacko was allegedly in. Well, that those guys came out of, right? That Gabriel, aka Kristen Yenna, came out of when they did the swatting. And it looks just like the apartment, and it looks just like the one that Jordan is making all his TikToks and stuff in, those weird touchy-feely things. And it's 2 girls, 3 guys, and I think there's a dog there, but they're making a video. And the room is empty. They've got lights up. You can see where the sliding glass door is, just like the apartment, the Kopacko apartment. It looks like the same apartment. And what's interesting about that is that when the snipers during that swatting were out talking amongst themselves, whispering, chatting, saying things like that, they kept bringing up, where's he again? Is he in that one? Oh, is he that one right there? And it's like, yeah, it's got to be that one. And then it's like, not the one to the, which would be our right, not the one to the right, right? No, that's ours. That's what they said. No, that is ours. What do they mean by that? That is ours. That would be something to find out, because that's weird, in my opinion, especially if they're making movies in the apartment to the left of them. Think about that one for a second. Not only that, but think about the cops, all the officers that were let go November 4th, 2022, for misconduct, grooming students, having actual encounters with them while on duty, like at the Kibbe Dome, in special places. Mistreating fellow officer, aka Heidi Lambley, which is actually, she's the lady that's in there in the that walks Gabriel down the stairs in the Kopacko body cams. She was a detective at that time when that happened. 2 years prior, she filed a grievance for what she felt harassment and misconduct and the way that the male officers were treating the females. And although they did find these things to be true, they didn't find for her side. Can you imagine that? And she had to go back to work with those guys she had filed those reports on and work. And this is now almost three years later. Yeah, 3 years later. And these snipers outside, when they're talking, they're saying, they're not talking nice about her. They call her a bitch. It is not pretty. Not only that, but these guys are, one tells a story where his son, who I think he said was 4 or 5 at the time, was out somewhere where his dog, somewhere outside, and they came upon a little bunny nest. And one of the bunnies was not doing well. And he said he just took it and stomped on it. Right in front of his kid. And the guy said, you got to put it out of its misery right then and there. And I'm like, okay, now you can put an animal like that out of its misery, right? But you don't do it in front of your kid. You don't do that. And you don't do it. I mean, come on. That was so, when he said that, I wasn't expecting it when I heard it. I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. I could not believe what I was hearing. And then you just go back, oh, well, did you take your son go to this preschool? And they're talking about how expensive the daycare and stuff there is. And man, that's crazy. But I mean, they talk about a lot of stuff out there while they're waiting to put a bullet in Kopaka. It's not all they talk about. They talk about students as well. They talk about one of the students is a girl, and she, apparently she had his class, like his DARE class or something like that in, when she was back in high school. She's now at the University of Idaho. I didn't know that, actually. I didn't know where she was. All he said was, she's crazy. She's always in and out of like the, crazy. He called, I can't remember what he called it, but it was not a very, it wasn't the nice way to say, a mental institution or something like that. Basically, that's what he was saying. The funny farm or whatever. Maybe that's what he said, the funny farm. But anyway, he's like, yeah, she's in there. She's just nuts. And anyway, so fast forward like a year and a half or whatever that came out, maybe a year. And I'm looking through some Instagram stuff, and up pops this girl, and I'd never seen her before or noticed her actually. And then I noticed the name, and I was like, oh my God, it's the girl the officers were talking about. Well, guess what? She runs in that whole group with Emily and all of them. All of them are all together, you guys, in this group. And in the police reports, there's a girl, there's a female, that's in there all the time that is having issues. And they call her dangerous. They call her dangerous. Even her mother calls in and warns them if she's having an episode. My daughter's having some issues right now, and I believe she's dangerous to herself and to others at this point. A lot of that going on in those police reports. So she runs in that crowd. Now, when you're hearing the stuff in LLane, and you are hearing Xana, all those names being called, and you're hearing Ethan, well, you're hearing Zoe, you're hearing Lily, Zoe, Lily, all those things like that. Well, guess what? The house, like if you're in the smaller Queen Avenue apartments and you're looking out your back window towards the frat house, the frat on campus, you're going to be looking down at a house. There's two houses right there. But we're looking at the one that's to the left of us, which is the closest to the Taylor apartments. That house is where a bunch of girls have lived for several years, and they seem to be they're like alternative. So some of them are gay, some of them are bi, whatever. But that's the house where they kind of always, find their way to, right? And in that house, there's a Zoe, there's a Lily, there's a Xana, all of the above and more. I believe that fight happened on Taylor, possibly behind that Taylor, those two Taylor houses, in between that and the Queen apartments on that hill there, but started in the street and then moved its way up. Because if you're standing, pretend you're the camera on 1330 and you're looking straight out. So where everybody crosses over from the 1320 LLane to the 1330 camera, there's a path, where the guy at 315 walks up, and he walks up from the 1320, the dumpster side, and then he takes a left in front of us. Well, before he takes that left to go across the way, he could take a right and go straight directly in between the back of the Linda Lane apartments and the Queen apartment building. There's a walkway right straight down onto Taylor Avenue. And that's where that noise is coming from, in my opinion. It's going to carry all the way up there. In fact, even more so because of that brick building. It won't, it's going to stay right there. That noise is going to stay right, condensed and come right on out, right? And when it gets out and it hits that open air, you're going to hear it more. In my opinion, that's how I see it in my mind's eye. That's how I feel about it. Same with the Queen Apartments to our left as we're looking at it from our camera view, because there's that narrow corridor, and it's like getting a one of those bullhorns or those cone things you shout into, where it's small at the beginning and then it opens up wider at the end. Think about yelling at the end of that that Queen apartment building that's right by the house, down that corridor in between there. Start yelling at the top, say the top of the steps there. Just go, hey. And by the time that hey gets to the other side and hits the spread where it spans out, where it's not just a corridor anymore, it's going to echo more, in my opinion. That's how it works out in my head, right? I don't know if that's true. That's just how it feels, and that's how it sounds. And a lot of the noises we're hearing too, you've got to pay attention to both sides, because some of those noises are coming from the 1320 area. And I believe that is where the Blake Avenue, and that's where all that stuff happens. And there's also a fight that happens right there, I think, as they're coming up the hill from that dumpster too. There's a portion, I can't remember exactly what time it is, but it's definitely visible. You can see it all happen. Looks like people are rolling around on the pavement without being able to see them. It's like, oh man, I can't believe whoever did that took a lot of time to do that. They're like, oh, it's all fake. I'm like, well, it's all fake because they scrub stuff out. But here's the thing: why would they make a video of the surveillance and then add the scrubbing out? It just seems like a lot of work. They just took the video and then they scrubbed it out. They didn't have to make one themselves. This is actually just a video they did. So why would they? It would be totally so much work to do it the other way around. It'd just be crazy to do that. So I believe this is real. I just think there's things added, covered up, white noise covering things up, scrubbing things out. Obviously that's happening. Clipping things out of that freaking footage. I wonder which ones they gave Anne. That makes me very curious. Did she get the clipped out versions, or did she get the real stuff, the whole thing? I mean, this is the first time this police department has done this. I mean, Stickergate with the church, they hid the footage from that forever. And the church won their settlement on that one. There was 3 of them that got arrested. They each got $100,000. Yeah. They were awarded each $100,000, $300,000, boom, right off the top. Yeah. Oh, choking on my own damn saliva. So, I believe the footballers were also involved in this. I think it could be where it all kind of started with all the football fights that were going on around there after the fact. Gnarly ones too, where they're wearing, and this is in the police report, when they're wearing ski masks, and they have bats, they have broken off PVC piping, and I'm sure as shit there's probably some golf clubs in there too. But these guys, this is a fight, right? So that particular football game that they did that night really did not make them very happy, because it was with Davis and they've lost. And that was not anticipated. And I'm sure there was a lot of pent-up emotions, anger. If you're going to get a mob of any kind, it's going to be it's something like that. Definitely. And I for sure think those fires did happen over there, because if you take a look at Banfield, take a good look at that grass. It's on all aspects. Anywhere you can look at that grass that's over there, there's debris all over that grass. It looks like paper has been burnt or something, and it's now fallen back to the ground. Like when you have fireworks, right? At the end of the next day after 4th of July, and you find all that crap on the ground. That's what it looks like, but it's just paper or something. It looks like ash. Big chunks of ash is what it looks like. So anyway, sorry to make this so long and whatever, but there's a few things I just wanted to put out there that I'm going to start connecting these people that are in these houses that are around that area. And you don't have to go out of that area to find a bunch of crazy crap. I mean, I'm talking some crazy connects and people that live in those areas, in those surrounding apartments and houses. I'm telling you, you don't have to go anywhere else to find trouble. It's all right there. Right there. And when you've got these kids all hopped up on steroids and whatever else they're taking on top of that, we know that Adderall, Addie, what'd you tell Maddie? What did you tell Adam? It sounds to me like Jack kind of says, we'll get you some Addie, they're gonna get you. We'll get you some Addie, something like that, something about Adderall, right? Now, that is rampant in that university. They talk about it. There's been a lot of different threads on it. There's been people that have openly talked about it on videos, and it's known that, and it's crazy that stuff flies around like that. It's just unbelievable, but it does. So you've got that. You've got these guys all hopped up on whatever they're doing, drinking, and these are young adults, right? They're still going. In fact, the guys are still actually growing. They're not even fully grown yet. And they're definitely not in mental stability in those heads, because I had to deal with some of those guys back in the day, right? They don't have any brains in them. The only brains they have, which are non-existent, are in between their legs. And that's crazy, because when I was around my boyfriend when I was not even 21 yet, lived in Seattle at a house called The Shop. The Shop was a house right off UW campus where many of the football players lived. And if you want to hear some crazy times, I could tell you some crazy times. So when somebody tells me the frats don't do that, what? Oh my God. Those guys are absolutely wild. All of them. All of the college kids are. See, I had already been out and working, and I wasn't anywhere in the college scene. My boyfriend just lived at that house. He wasn't in the college scene either. So I was thrown into this like right quick, and definitely had to, there's times I had to defend myself, but then I became basically their mascot in a way. It was kind of weird. But my 21st birthday, they wouldn't let any girls come. It was just my boyfriend and like maybe 12 members of the team. And then this other guy, this little guy, Greg, I don't know how he got living in that, how he became living in that house. And I don't know how he survived in that house, because he was little amongst all these humongous guys. And they would pick him up and wrestle with him. Oh my God, the things they did to that guy. But he came along with everything. He was just a fun-loving guy, man. Anyway, all of us went out to the comedy club in Seattle. Or where was it? It was Belltown. Was it Belltown? Anyway, that's where we went. And when we got there, they were talking to this one guy, and apparently he was the owner, and they knew him because he was a football player. And so they gave us the VIP table, which sat above the stage out. Oh my God. It was so much fun. But they wouldn't let me walk anywhere I went, except for I had to go to the bathroom. They gave me that. But if I wanted to go anywhere, they had to pick me up and take me there. It was a fun night, let me tell you. But it was a little overwhelming after. I mean, as time went on, and they meant it. You're not walking anywhere. And they meant it. I was the only woman there, and amongst 14 guys. My boyfriend, Greg, and then the football players. It was absolutely nuts. Anyway, it was fun though. So I can tell you some stories, some serious stories, how crazy they get. And yeah, I woke up with a lot of rug burns. They decided they were going to wrestle me that night, and that was, boy, good thing I was in good shape, man, because it would have been another story if I wasn't in good shape. But I did have some serious rug burns. But nothing that was too bad. They were really pretty darn respectful and really nice guys and took care of me. So that was good. Anywho, so I do believe, hands down, that there was something went down about somewhere in August and escalated as it moved upon Halloween. Now, in Kaylee's Venmos, she's got a couple different ones between a couple other girls that I don't typically normally recognize it with the group, right? I mean, you can hear their names, but they're not like with that. You don't hear them all the time. And what the Venmo was, the message said was fake fight. So you hear about these pranks they pull. They play a lot of pranks. They wear a lot of ski masks in that area. They dress up in Halloween costumes. Literally, if you look at the footage where the cop is looking in that one noise complaint, and you can catch a still of it. You look into between the curtains and you look at what's hanging on that closet area. You'll see Halloween costumes right there. You'll see like a scare mask on there. You'll see it's like a whole cluster of Halloween costumes. So it's right at their hands, right there in front of them. They can just put on and, do a scary thing. So that fake fight, more than likely, was the Dylan fight thing that all the TikTok thing that's people have made this big deal out of Dylan being upset. Well, apparently it was a fake fight that they put up, and it was just something that they do, like those games they do on TikTok. They have these little like skits, and then everybody does it, kind of like the water when people poured the water over each other, the ice water, that type of thing. It's a viral type, whatever they do, a skit, some type of dare whatnot, something like that. Okay, so that's what I believe that was all about. Now, if it got out of hand, maybe it did get out of hand, but from what it looks like to me, it was just a fake fight that was something for TikTok. Now, it could be that someone got out of hand. They said some things like when they were yelling or something. Maybe that's part of it. But you guys don't see the picture of Maddie after the fact where she's standing. Listen, when Dylan's taking a selfie of herself, but actually she's probably taking it of Maddie, who's standing behind her, because Maddie has a shiner coming on. Maddie is going to have a black eye. Trust me on that one. She is getting a shiner. And Dylan has this look on her face like, like, got you, didn't I? And Maddie's just leaning up a counter, and it's going to be on her left. Her left side is to us, and so that's what the shiner's looking at. And she's got this look on her face like she's just like, oh, I mean, like she looks like she's about ready to cry, right? And Dylan's got this look on her face like the cat that just ate the canary. Like, I fucked you up, didn't I? Got you, didn't I? Now, I'm not the brunt of your fake fight or whatever the fight was about. There was in the Venmos. It's noted, it's documented between Kaylee and a couple other people. Fake fight. And then they're laughing about it and they're whatever. It's something they did. It's something they did. I mean, it's well known. So, whether someone took it wrong, like I said, I don't know. But everybody thinks that TikTok thing is something horrific, but it might have ended up that way, but it wasn't intentional to be that way. It was just one of those TikTok things. So, yeah. But that's after and then after that, that's when her dad, Dylan's dad, wrote that thing to her like in Messenger that Dylan put up on her page. Shows her dad all buff, holding a cell phone, saying something like, "You're my baby, and I'm back. I'm not going to leave you or whatever. We can remember when we used to go camping and have fun. Blah blah blah. If anybody's bothering you, don't worry. I'll take care of them. I'm 200 something pounds of muscle." I mean, she just went off on this spew thing. It was just disgusting, actually. But anyway, that was posted after that fight thing on Dylan's Instagram or something or other. And that was kind of interesting timing, right? Was that kind of a way of letting other people know that, hey, my dad can kick your dad's ass. Yeah, that's kind of what that sounds like to me, right? Don't mess with me because my dad's got my back now. I can just see the old snapping wrist and the shake of the head and the little shoulder roll, and the hand on the hip. Yeah. So, kids will be kids. Teens will be teens. Young adults will be young adults. It's part of life. It's part of growing up. It's just the ones that take it too far have the problem. Like I said, I don't know what happened. Don't know. I'm just relaying messages that I know that that I might not have talked about in other things before. And thanks, Bertie, for having the picture up here. And you know, I wasn't intending to do it like this. In fact, this was gonna be a short. You guys, can you believe that? Sure you can, because you know me too well, right? Sure you can. You know me. Okay. Well, I'm making this off my tablet. So at this point, it's almost 40 minutes long. This is probably going to take 3 hours to upload from my tablet. It sucks. I don't know why it takes so long from my tablet. It has tons of memory on it, tons of storage, hooked right up to the same mobile data. It just takes freaking forever. So I'm going to get her going. I think he says, "This our exit?" And the guy says, "That's it," and gets in the car. That's my opinion. So I will talk to you in the comment section. Love you guys. Doing a good job, Birdie. Outcast, fabulous. Same-o. Yeah, I'm glad he broke down those two. So those two sound bites, like the one, the LLane, the first one he did, and then the one that just came up, that was from one of the mine videos. I asked him if he could break those down. And there's another one I want him to break down too. It's from the grub truck. It's when I think Ethan was abducted. And I haven't seen that on his yet. So he says he's going to do that. But I've got several other areas that nobody really talks about. And there are areas that have always bothered me. But that the last one is one area that has always drove me crazy, because you could hear it a lot when they first came out. See, here I am talking again. See, I told you. You guys know me. When that first came out, you could hear those things. You could hear that section very well. Now it seems like you don't really hear that section anymore. It's like it's been scrubbed out. So that's why I got that from one of my videos that was not, it's been on my, no one messed with it after I posted it. Anyway, that's that. Thank you, Outcast, for doing that. I appreciate that so much. You're doing such a good job with it. I mean, really good job. We all appreciate you. Yeah, thank you. All right. Ta-ta for now. Yeah, that's it. Love you guys.